I'm going ahead and call the Central Business District Committee for October 27th in order, whatever.
All right. First on the agenda, we have a special events update, and Rachel is here, and thanks for coming to us today. And so there's been a lot that has happened since the last time we met, and then there's still some to come this year, and then there's some, in broad strokes, some some things that are on the horizon in the spring as well.
Yep, so kind of to recap what we've done since our last meeting, which was end of August, we've had several events, so it's been awesome for Marty and I to get out there. So the first one was our Rocking Main on September 11th. So we had phenomenal weather, perfect. We had a really good turnout of people coming out. I would estimate probably 3,000 to 4,000 people probably came out to the event. We had two bands. Both were well received by the crowd, especially Lynn Avenue, the headliner that we brought in from Savannah, Georgia. So we've already spoken to her about bringing her back probably in the summertime, maybe to headline the July 4th celebration. So really good stuff at that event. Great vendors out and stuff, so we got good feedback from that. And then we had, in addition to that, our next thing was our 8-mile challenge walk. That unfortunately did get rained out. I'm sorry, that one didn't get rained out. That one, we didn't have enough participation, which was a little surprising because what I've been told in the past was that one, usually we have a waiting list.
Which one's that?
The 8-mile walk challenge.
Okay.
And that's from the Black Center.
To the rec center. We had less than 30 people sign up, and for all of the resources it takes to run that, it just isn't worth it at that point. So we're definitely going to try to do it again next year. We had Steve Hubbard out on the trail talking to people, getting people signed up, and we still just couldn't get enough to make it worthwhile from the town's perspective. So we still allowed people to get their T-shirts, so I reached out to everybody and said, hey, if you do this walk or run, let us know, and stop by the rec center and we'll have the shirts for you. And we had probably about 10 people that responded and came and got their shirts, which I was excited about. So that was really good. So people still got out and were active for it. And then we had on October 5th, we had our 5th or 2nd, I'm not sure which one, Marty. Our Rocking Main was October 2nd, that Saturday. So this was a longer one, so we did from 3 to 9 instead of 5 to 9. Some of the feedback we did get from that it was a little bit long, especially for the vendors, because they get there several hours before we start, time of the event, and then their cleanup and all. So took that feedback. I agree with them. It did seem a little bit long to me, so I think our sweet spot might be a 5 to 9 time slot for that. Also, businesses on a Saturday, it's less impactful for them to have to close down the streets. For the one at 5 o'clock, we closed down the streets. I think it was 1:30 or 2 o'clock versus pushing that back to 11:30. That could impact some of them. So they were more open than in the past, in the first few events that we had, but still, thinking if we're going to do more of a concert series, that does, have impact on them. So I think that 5 to 9 is going to be a better time slot. But again, we had amazing weather. It was in the low 70s and just absolutely beautiful outside. We had more food trucks just because we had less competition with no tech game and such. We had 3 bands, and all of them happened to be local, so from Radford, Floyd, and Christiansburg. And so they were pretty well received. The first band was more of a rock band that does covers. So I heard a little feedback about that people rather have more of a country or bluegrass. But Flannel Jukebox. And so they do all covers, but they play everywhere in the area. They're at farmers markets and little festivals and stuff. But otherwise, I think everybody was pretty well received. Jason Adams from Blacksburg, his band came back and played. So it was a good event. We had definitely more people at that event. We did add on a kids zone, and we had a clown there, and he was probably, beyond the alcohol, one of the most, or the busiest piece of the night. People really enjoyed that, of just doing clown or animal balloons and all kinds of stuff. He was really good with making the kids feel comfortable. We also had an inflatable, so that was really popular with folks. And we also adjusted our event layout as well, moved alcohol towards the stage. That seemed to help as well. So all good things that we can take going into the future sponsor for our next series starting in the spring. We've done a few other things. Fire prevention parade went well, really well attended from what I understand compared to years past. So that went well. We've got upcoming Veterans Day parade is on the 11th. So we will be working that morning. The parade's at 10:30 downtown. And so...
And with that, the police coordinate, and so it's been 2 years since we've done that, I guess, and the police coordinate the school, elementary school children and primary school children walking down as attendees, and then, and I hadn't heard, but, we have had at least 2, maybe 3 of the high schools have their bands.
Yes, I've heard the same thing, but I haven't been contacted by them to say they're going to be there, which...
And then the RTCs is something that's fairly new, and they've been marching.
That's awesome.
And,
I know the kids are just adorable.
Yeah.
And they get them all dressed up with flags.
Yep, so fingers crossed for good weather again for that coming up. And so that's our last outside, I guess, event of the year. Everything else is stuff that the town itself is hosting, so...
If I may, real quick, too, and the valuable thing there, too, I think from an event standpoint, is that they have asked for, because our veterans are getting older, plus, it's just not that big of a parade. They've asked for a shorter route, which I think helps for all of us, because it helps for Public Works, for the setup, for the barriers. It helps, to be able to break down the barriers quicker after the event. And then it just, there'll be enough space along the route. I mean, that's something that, I know I'll be trying to notice if there's not enough space, then maybe we do, enlarge it. But I think there's probably going to be adequate space for enough viewers that want to get a good spot along the route.
So what's the route this year?
They're going to turn onto Hickok instead of going up past Dunkley, is where they would go before. So they're going to end in the Presbyterian parking lot behind there. So.
Will it be live streamed? Because the time frame, a lot of people are working.
Yeah.
They might enjoy seeing that.
I can talk to Christine and Edney about that.
And somehow I failed to mention our tailgate, which we just had on Friday. So we had our first ever CHS tailgate party Friday evening. Again, we've gotten so lucky with weather. It was really nice out. So for that event, we had partnered with the Christiansburg High School sports marketing classes, and they were helping us planning of the event, and they volunteered at the event and such. So, going forward, we're going to do it a little bit differently to have them involved in different ways, but where they are in the curriculum is a little bit harder. But for the spring, if we do one, we're talking about for maybe soccer, having them work on sponsorship deals and things like that. So I think it was a really good experience for the students, but the event itself was well received. We had people starting to line up before 4 o'clock to get into the event, and it started at 4:30. So it was really cool. We had rock climbing wall and inflatable football toss, and then we were able to provide free T-shirts while supplies lasted. We ended up with about 140 or so free T-shirts to give out. Then we had hot dogs, pizza, chips, and stuff like that was free to everybody. Marty did a fantastic job of getting us sponsorships. We were able to get the shirts 100% paid for. They just asked us how many shirts and what's the cost, and wrote us the check for it, which was amazing. The students, that was one of the things they said, that they really wanted to have T-shirts. So they have these cool shirts that has on there CHS Tailgate Party. It has our logo along with the school's logo on there, and then the year, and then sponsor, of course, in the back. We were able to get food, also at cost, and then Hot 100 came out and did their live remote, no fee for that. They didn't charge us, so it was really great to be able to put that on, and the cost for that was pretty minimal considering what we were able to do. We gave out over 300 tickets, which is what they needed to be able to get in and get food. So I would say we probably had, in the end, 350, 400 people attend during that 2-hour event. And I think one of the best parts about it was people came and stayed, and they hung out. So they didn't just walk in, get a T-shirt and leave, or get a hot dog and leave, but they hung out for an hour or even longer. And a lot of the student volunteers, that they had 45-minute shifts that they worked, they stayed, which I think says a lot they were having fun and wanted to be there. So we're definitely excited about that and excited to do it again. Hopefully one in the spring, but definitely next fall we'll be doing another one with the football team and working with the class again. So. And then this coming weekend we have our Getting Scary on the Huckberry 5K, and then also the Trunk or Treat coinciding at the same time at the Rec Center. So as of last night, we have 100 people signed up to run the race, which from what I've been told is really good for this time frame, because usually the last 2 days you get the majority of your registration. So we're excited to have that many folks. We've done a pretty good, I think, marketing push on social media, but also getting the flyers out. I've visited with different running groups, clubs, gone out to runabouts and different places like that, getting the word out to people, and so we've gotten a good response from that. And of course, it raises money for the high school's cross-country team, so in the end, it's good for everybody, the more people we can get involved. So we've got that Saturday from 8 to 11 is the Trunk or Treat, and then the race starts at 9. So praying for no rain. But I think we will be okay, but fingers crossed for that. And then we've got coming up after that, Marty's going to be doing calls from the North Pole that we've done in the past. So that came about around, I think with COVID, just a different way for us to reach out to kids, and it was really popular. So we're going to be doing that again. So basically, Marty calls these kids, and as if he's Santa Claus, he's in full character and talks to them, and he has a sheet of information about the kids of what they're doing at school, what pets they have, what they want for Christmas, that kind of stuff. So it's really cool. So that information should be out in the next day or two.
How many of those did you get last year?
Last year I had 112 calls. Now, a couple of those we did allow to expand last year. We had a couple out of state, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
But Blacksburg does them too, but Blacksburg did not have any last year. The year before, Blacksburg had 32. So we did absorb a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and you've got time to make those calls?
Yeah, usually within 2 nights. If we're not able to reach you, we have a third or backup.
And we give the parents, we tell them, December 1st, keep your phone lines open starting at 5:30, and then let them know if you don't get a call that night, then it's either the second or third. So, but I think it's a cool little program for kids, and grandparents can do it for their grandkids too. So it's really neat. So that'll be going on there at the beginning of December. And then we have our big Christmas event, Christmas on Main, on Friday, December 10th. So we will have our market that evening as part of the festivities, the Christmas tree lighting, and then also the parade. So the market's 5 to 9, the parade's 7 to 9. Tree lighting is just before the parade starts.
I'm sorry, what
Yeah, I was trying to write that down too.
I'm trying to multitask.
The market is 5 to 9.
Yeah, what day?
This is on the 10th of December, that Friday.
That's really.
And then the parade is 7 to 9.
Okay.
And we've already opened registration for the people to enter for the parade, and Charleston's already been getting those. So we're looking forward to kind of going back to our traditional format of a parade. Although everybody said last year was well received because they did the drive-through or the reverse parade, but I think everybody's ready to get back to a little bit of normalcy. So we've got that on that Friday, and then the very next day we have a Winter Wonderland on the 11th at the Rec Center. So that's 6 to 8 p.m. We have a Santa's workshop, cookies, hot chocolate, Christmas caroling. Santa Claus will be there doing pictures, all kinds of different things going on. We are going to be doing a portion of it outdoors as well. We will have an inflatable outside for the kids, just to try to mix it up a little bit. There's folks that want to do stuff outside, but hopefully weather works with us that day. And if it's too cold, then we'll just keep it all within the gymnasium. So. And
what's the policy for handing out candy at the parade?
So for handing it out, they're not allowed to throw it. What they have to do is, I was talking to Charleston this morning actually about it, is they have to have a bag and then take one piece out and do it that way. They cannot toss it because there are the obvious issues. Also, if it doesn't make it over the barricade, he was telling me that kids will like push through the barricade to get to the candy, and so we try to do it a little bit closer up so that it's not the tossing, which is very traditional, but,
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. So, either way, they get candy. So, that's what they care about. The next thing that we have on our schedule, that's officially scheduled, is our Great Easter Egg Hunt, which is on Saturday, April 16th. So that's our first spring event, like I said, that's on the schedule. We are looking at doing the spring concert series, and, you know, of course, I'd love to hear from you as a, you know, business owner downtown, you know, how this could impact you. We're looking at doing it, again, Saturdays, but possibly doing it a series that's longer, so potentially like a May through October, or having a break in between. It would mean, again, Saturdays, you know, one Saturday a month, essentially, Main Street would be closed for majority of the day. You know, what are your thoughts about that, how that could impact?
I'm on Roanoke Street
Okay.
and not open on the weekends,
Okay.
but I can't see anything but positive coming
Okay.
out of it, because when you bring that many people to downtown, you should be open for business,
Yeah.
you know? And the few parking spaces that you don't get, we still have them on the secondary street.
Right.
So I would say be supported.
Okay.
You might see a few that complain that often use themselves, but I think you're used to hearing that already.
Yeah.
There's
It
not that
happens.
many that have business that would be open themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like
Especially if we're doing later.
hair
like that.
salon maybe, and
Yeah, the hair salons going on.
yeah. And I know that you guys work with those businesses too,
Yeah.
so they know ahead of time, and it'd be great if they could work with the event.
Yeah.
That's where DCI, I think, would come into play.
Yeah. I've talked a little bit to them about it too,
Mhm.
and trying to figure out, you know, not just communication, but also how can we, you know, do this together and get the businesses on board. And, you know, like the barber shop will set up a table outside in front and give out $5 coupons during the event, you know, do something like that to draw more people. But, so we've been talking about doing more of a longer series like that, or potentially doing like a May, June, and then September, October, or something like that. But those are things we're throwing out, looking at the calendar and seeing what we can do. But just wanted to see what your thoughts would be, you know, regarding if it's more of a every month for 6 months, what does that look like for businesses down there, and also, you know, the town's resources, because that's also Public Works, having to do a lot of work the day of, and of course Parks and Rec.
I see something positive happening here, and that is, you know, we just started this arts board, and they're very energetic about getting art out there. But they talked about where it's not just a painting or a sculpture, it's also, you know, theater, dance, and all kinds. So with the museum coming downtown, and with the town having more events, and we have an arts board, I really see us upping our game in the arts and culture department. And I see that as more events, and maybe not even music, you might even expand it,
Yeah.
you know, to maybe a theater production or
Yep.
something. So I support all of that. I think this community needs things to get out and get excited about, and music really brings them.
Yeah.
And food.
Yes. Good smelling food, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
So.
Might even have a fan that just wafts that smell down.
I think that is all that I've got that's gone on, happening, and coming up, so.
Do you have anything like between that desert space between January and April to consider to?
We don't currently have it right now. I've spoken to Brad about that time frame of kind of, you know, it's my first year, so what does that look like? And that time he's given to us, that's our planning time for the remainder of the year. Because once you get into your events, you're just
Yeah.
moving, so. But not to say we wouldn't do anything in this time frame. I thought about something potentially in March, doing maybe like a St. Patrick's Day parade downtown or something like that, but like I said, doesn't mean we can't do anything.
Sure, yeah, okay. I just like to keep everybody's momentum up, and maybe
Yeah.
it's not even an event for Parks and Rec, you know, it could even be a contest of some sort where it's like not much time out of your day.
Yeah.
You know? But it engages the community,
Right.
you know, and maybe that could even be worked with the arts board together on something. I think that'd be great. Because the more people stay engaged, I think that's,
Yeah, you don't want to lose your momentum.
yeah.
So.
And you've tried to do themes for each one.
Yes.
Right, so I mean, maybe that's a way to incorporate,
Yes.
into one of the events. You know,
Yeah, 'cause
it's
I
an
could
arts
see-
theme, maybe it's a sidewalk
Yeah.
chalk, drawing contest or something that is associated with the event.
I love that sidewalk chalk idea. Because Hickok, we talked about taking that and just letting them do whatever they wanted to it in squares.
Yes.
Because it's all going to be kind of ripped up later, it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter, which I still think is a pretty cool idea.
In early spring may be still a good time.
Okay.
Use the part of the block.
Okay.
I think the creativity that could come out with people of all ages would make that a really cool arts and culture area to focus on. And then it'll be quite disappointing when it is actually the world.
And we did that year before last with the chalk on Hickok Street.
Yeah. How'd that go?
It went over well. I didn't think we had enough participation, but we did do, we had the chalk. We still have all the chalk and everything that was used.
That's good. But between now and then, you've done a lot of work to engage people, so I think maybe now it would reach more. Because you've laid that groundwork already.
Okay. For the sake of time, we're gonna go ahead and move to item B.
Well, first of all, everything's a go for tomorrow. The weather, it always seems to be that we have clear in the clouds till about 5 or 6 o'clock. We're still hoping to get in the outside, but and I think I brought it up 3 months ago that we have talked about moving it inside, into the rec center on at least one basketball court, and that's what we're looking at possibly tomorrow. So we have that option from now on, as long as it's up there, so we could move it inside during weather. We fought the weather. We had one cancellation that just snuck up on us this year, and 2 others that hit us late. Last week it hit us late about 6:15. And I will mention that was the author day. We had 18 authors. They all did well, and scrambled when it started raining on the books. So that was a shame that cut that short. But for the most part, most of them sold anywhere from 4 to 5 books. So for authors, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And they were able to get exposure that they hadn't had in 3 years. They hadn't been able to do events.
And free
So that was a
exposure.
great thing. And I had 2 authors just show up and realize what was going on, and they had books in their car. They're like, "Can I sit up?" I'm like, "Sure, right here's a spot." So we had some 2 walk-ins that didn't know what was going on until they found out the last minute. But that's a prime example of the weather we had to deal with at 6:15, but we still remained open and reopened completely without the book people, and did pretty decent after, for an hour. And that's just something we have to deal with up on the hill between the wind and the rain. It sneaks in on us. We watch the lightning, of course. Tomorrow, we have planned trick-or-treating. If we need any more trick-or-treating, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, this week, and Sunday. But we're going to do trick-or-treating with the vendors, and almost all the vendors are going to participate. We have the museum coming. We have Wing drones are going to come back and set up. And then we're going to have several entertainment. We're going to have costume contests for kids, of course, but we're going to have, if you haven't seen it, 20 to 25 foot tall guy walks around with stilts and England is going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be dressed as a pumpkin scarecrow. Then we'll have the clown that was downtown that was so successful. He's going to be there. And then we'll also have the Mystic Witches of Floyd, which is a dance troupe that performs during Halloween. They're still scheduled to be there, and we will have live entertainment. So the big grand finale to finish out the year. And I know Sam comes up with a lot, but for everybody else, we had and still do have produce up to the last day. That's something that's changed. And I just want to bring that up. The first of the year we talked about some goals, and there was an increased number of patrons, first of all, through the musical acts, and we've done that. We're looking at, we almost tripled the numbers from Hickok Street up on that hill, and I'll have the final numbers for later on. We've done more promotions and better communication with the vendors, but the goals were increase the number of vendors, more shopping bags available, because that was one of the requests we had from people, and we've done that thanks to the health department and the Virginia Farmers Market Association. We did public awareness with the nonprofits.
We did vendors provided new ideas to attract customers. And, you know, when we looked at it last year, you know, one of the things that Sam wanted was look for more produce vendors. Well, this year we had 4 new produce vendors, and that were pretty regular. We had 3 more tomato vendors, because that was always the thought there wasn't ever enough tomatoes. 3 plant vendors just by themselves, like Lichen and Nod, and we had 2 nurseries. We had, you know, we try to increase the different types of products. We had 1 selling mushrooms this year. We added chestnut, vendors selling chestnuts and things like that. And we added 2 egg vendors this year. So that was big in that. And then we had 4 more flower vendors this year. So we ended up during the peak part of the season, in the middle of the year, we had as many as 6 flower vendors. And in the midst of that, you know, last year we had to add non-produce type vendors. Well, this year we were able to limit it, and it allowed more space for those other type vendors. And we only averaged at the most 3 to 4 non-produce vendors. You know, last week it was an exception because that was a reason, because as produce starts going out, that we add some things to still try to attract people. Number-wise, you know, again, we're going to be almost triple to what we were at Hickok. We did see the numbers drop when all this came out about the Delta variant, and also when the kids went back to school. We, you know, during the summer when the kids were out of school, we had a lot of people. One of the 2 big things that I'm proud of for the farmers market was the EBD, low-income food stamps. We increased as much as 150% this year. We're only one of 2 farmers markets that match, and we had a match last year that covered almost everything. Well, because of the increase, I'm proud to say that grantee has doubled their grant for the next year, and we have a grant that was that they agreed to last week of $1,000, and they're going to be delivering the check next month. So we will double the amount of matching money that we can give out. Still remain at the $20 maximum, but we were pushing that, and we were seeing more families with kids because of the low-income food program, the lunch program, and also the more people that were out of work using it. And talking to, you know, other farmers markets that do that, they didn't see that much of an increase. So we were very lucky. And, you know, a lot of people, when they come to the market, they'll be like, oh, we didn't even know you were doing this. And then when they find out, they spread the word to the other parents. And we did really well with the EBD this year. So well that the state gave us all new software and gave us all new equipment to use, because they thought that was important. So we have new equipment as of last month that's completely funded by the state to keep working on that. So I was very happy with that. And one of the other big things is our plastic drive, sustainability project that we started tackling last year. We collected over 1,800 pounds in 16 months. The company says that's unbelievable. Everybody that's doing it around here, there's at least 6 other groups collecting. They have problems collecting the plastic bags. I'm like, what? I'm overwhelmed. In the process, then, for every 500 pounds we turn in during the 6-month period, we receive a recycle binge. We have 3 in-house now. The idea was to put those in the farmer's market, but right now we're going to have to look at that going into next year. If we do put them out there, they're going to have to be bolted or locked down in some fashion because they are light enough to disappear. But we do have 3 of those in-house, a 4th one on the way, and then you know, by the first of the year we'll go ahead and probably very easily do a 5th one. One of the things we did do, and if you've got friends that do bring the bags, that this is the last week we're going to do it at the farmer's market, and we're just going to do it at the farmer's market unless the demand is there. But that means we won't start collecting until the first market in May again. A lot of people ask where they're going to take that, where they can take it to. The places that we end up taking it to after we collect them, and that's the 2 local food lines in Christiansburg. They do serve as a collection spot, and they will take them. It's just they won't be going towards the town benches for the farmer's market. But you know, if you haven't seen the bench, the one that is assembled and sitting out front in the lobby, so we've been very lucky with that, and there's 2 more setting in the offices that we do have.
So
We just gotta figure
3
out-
at Parks and Rec.
Well, for the farmer's market, it's how we list it. It's the project for the farmer's market. Because I know there have been some inquiries from Ramsey's office about maybe using those at the downtown area, but they don't match what's in the downtown area.
Right, now, we would want to keep it the downtown benches.
But I think that shows a lot right there,
Set aside, it's
because Rachel's seen it since she's come on board, that, I mean, if they don't put it in the collection bin, they put it in the back of my pickup truck. And the back of the pickup truck is full after every market.
I'm sure.
So that's, that's taking that out of the waste stream.
And, being on the Waste and Water Committee, I think that's great, and I'd love to even keep pushing it through that committee to let people know what you guys have been doing. Because it is keeping it out of our landfills.
I mean, it's unbelievable, 1,800 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, in addition to bench, it's a great side effect, but I think
Yeah.
keeping it out of the landfill is the first awesome priority.
And, I mean, the citizens just great response. And I think that too has to, some of the recycling centers being closed. They were looking for an outlet and we provided that. But I think if everything goes right, we should still have a very nice market tomorrow and finish out the year with the grand finale that, it's responded well, not just because of the location, maybe being the busiest intersection in town, but if you haven't had a chance to stop by, we do have take the 2 really nice signs from the downtown area and now placed them in the parking lot in anticipation that we'll probably be there for at least another year until the construction takes place, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good, Marty. I just want to say thanks too. I know I'm short-timed here on my meetings that are left, but you guys both have really taken the events and amped them up, and I think it's really awesome. I mean, we need that energy, and Christiansburg, I think now, we have that momentum and that energy, and people know that we're a destination. And it's because your guys' hard work, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anything else, Norm? We'll go ahead and move to item C.
With the, I just wanted to clarify, with the Christmas market, that will be in a different location, even though we don't anticipate having
No, it's not
construction on Haycock Street, but it will be on, North Franklin, right? Did I understand that correctly?
With Atlantic Union Bank,
Yeah,
the branch managers agreed to it, but he has to take it higher
okay,
for us to have it in their side parking lot, so they can remain open
okay.
during regular hours, but we would have
Do
to.
you think there'd be enough room to that area
It's
around the
gonna be
tree of
tight.
health and stuff? Okay,
Yeah, I measured it,
it's
a minute
tight.
ago, it's down to 6 to 7
okay,
spots is all that's there.
great, okay, very good.
What's the chances of using the open area behind what used to be Royalty?
In that area, potentially, yeah.
I'm thinking it's a nice big
Mhm.
area.
Where at?
So basically, the parking lot behind the bank, and there's actually, there's some parcels that extend past the, and where the Wells Fargo drive-through is in that area.
Like across
And,
from Subway?
Where Meridian used
Oh,
to be,
okay, yeah.
in that area.
There's that whole nice big
Mhm.
parking lot there, we might could even ask the owners to.
Is that private now?
It is. Yeah, and there's, that's, yeah, so there's something that, especially if it's gonna be fairly tight.
Yeah.
Because once people come for the tree lighting too, they usually congregate around Main Street more. But some people do kind of, spill into that area.
What's the hours of the bank on Friday? I mean, what hours are they?
Yeah. Or
I mean, not the bank, I mean the post office.
Oh, I'm not sure.
They close early.
Yeah.
I need to go back to check.
Yeah, and that would be something too, because,
8 slots.
right, for that area,
Figure it out.
yeah. Because, because the former bank, it will not be in the museum's hands at that point, but still, if we could talk to them,
Yeah.
make sure that they wouldn't have an event there, or they may be using that night as a fundraiser, I don't know.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Great, thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
Marissa, thank
on that.
My pleasure.
So I did want to, just while we're talking about the Christmas parade, the Christmas decorations would start on the 29th. I think that's a Monday after,
November.
November 29th. Right, so that's going to be the Monday after. It's going to take approximately 2 weeks to do. They'll do the wreath and the pole lights first, so they'll take the small banners down, put the wreath up, and then they'll do the banner over Main Street and the tree of hope. Then they'll light the small trees, and then that really leads up to December 10th.
Is there another, lighting of the tree where they're asking council and the mayor to be there?
Yeah, that would be that Friday, and so 6:55.
Okay.
Yeah.
And before we walk out, I don't know if you've seen it advertised, but United Way has worked it out, where we tried to have it 2 years ago, our own festival of trees. United Way is going to have a festival of trees starting the week before the parade and going through January 4th in the Old Town Mall. And they're going to have businesses and agencies buying space for the trees to show so people can come and look at it.
Great. Awesome. So the Public Arts Advisory Board update is fairly quick. As we're moving along and getting, moving towards our first project, which is a mural project in Cambria that we're hoping to do. I have a call for artists draft that I'm finishing up, and I'll be sending that out to the board tomorrow for their review. And so that'll, I'll look to get feedback from the board on that, and then we'll move forward on that. And that's just been not as quick as I would have hoped, but we'll get that out tomorrow.
It takes.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if you had anything else to add on that. I mean, the board is still plugging along. Yeah, they're great. And it's a fun group to work with because there's different opinions, but everybody is, very respectful about their opinions and expressing them and courteous of other folks. And so it's been fun to staff for sure.
It's a great fun group, yeah.
And then the next item is a downtown camera, and our IT director has been working on this and still is actually still does want to get some feedback from this board as we move forward. So basically, as we're considering, what cameras we want to purchase, as you may recall, to back up just a bit, and then also for Marissa, I'm not sure if you've met Ben or not, but this is our new planning director.
How are you?
Yeah, Ben Tripp, and for Ben's benefit, we were looking at putting a webcam for downtown, really looking at focusing on Town Square, and looking at posting it on the Government Safety Center, the 911 building. And so, as you'll see here, under participating parties, what we're finding out, and we could continue to push it, but it kind of takes longer when there's more parties involved. So we would like, just the consideration, for this board to think about, is there another location that we could use that we control, and then we control the time frame a bit more, and then accessing the camera and that sort of thing. And so we are looking at potentially the street light or the traffic light at the corner of North Franklin and in Maine, and we could do a 360 camera. We're looking at potentially that the user could actually control the camera potentially. And there are a couple examples here that these were actually some initial research that Jason Poff had done a couple of years ago. Actually, I have this already pulled up. So this is Hayden, Kentucky, which is a very small town, less than 500 people, and so, this is mounted, it's not on a street lamp, but it's at about, you know, it's at about the traffic light height. So it may be on a building, but it is a live camera. I'm not sure why it's not.
I think that's a really good view angle.
Yeah, and then this one even, it looks like our Main Street. Yeah, and you can actually see, you know, a light fixture here. So this potentially could be, this is Belmont, North Carolina, and I just looked it up, and it's right outside Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and it's a little smaller than us. It's about 12,500 folks.
Yeah. One of my goals with talking about the camera
Mhm.
is for people to be able to enjoy what we do on Main Street
Yeah,
in case they can't get out.
yeah.
Which brings me to the budget part. Can we use any of our funding that we're getting to cover something like this? So because I see it as the community being involved,
Yeah.
even though they might not want to go outside.
Right. And I'd have to confirm with Randy, but I think when we were talking before, he believed that the tourism dollars, the percent that we keep out of the tourism dollars would be a good use of this,
Yeah.
of those funds.
That's true.
But certainly, that's, you know, I think all options are on the table as far as from a funding perspective.
And you know it's crazy because like, and you might know this too, it's like you go online, you can find a camera, pop it up. I mean, you're in operation for $50 or less. But these options seem to be so much more advanced.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Right.
So does it have to be saved or can it just live stream?
So it would live stream. We would want to work with a provider that live streams it, and that it would be available to anybody. That public access would be as easy as possible. That's what, you know, there's some that require, like the 360 cameras require a browser plug-in, and that may limit people from using it. So those are just things that, you know, from an IT perspective, they're meeting with this company tomorrow, Verkada, to explore these ideas more. And so they still have, you know, some research that they're, you know, that they can provide to us.
How was the one doing that was put on the corner of the building as a test?
That was a Verkada, and that we no longer have the license for that, so we can't use it. But I thought it worked well. I mean, it seemed to hold up in weather, which is another consideration.
Is there anything that a chief citizen would be interested in as far as the police safety camera as well?
Well, I think it would be. I mean, it could be for that purpose. You know, I mean, certainly it's something that could be looked at if needed. But we do have cameras in front of the police department and in front of this building parking lot. So I think we're fairly good, and that's kind of within our system. This is something that we would really want it to be hosted by a third party, so it really is not coming through the town's. You know, the town's computer system.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ben, did you have any experience with
Yeah,
that
we
camera?
did. In fact, we put a couple of them up, and I was just thinking the same thing. There's one that looks at Lake Spring, the duck pond, if you will, right there on Main Street. This is in Salem. And there's, I think, one at the baseball stadium. And there might be some others, like we've also set them up, you know, temporarily to like film construction or something like that as well.
And that's a good idea too. If you pay for this service, would it be that much more expensive to add a camera, say near Uptown where the new mall is?
Yeah, and it may be different here in that you're looking at third-party solutions, and I'm not sure exactly how we did it, but my recollection is that because in Salem, we also own the electric utility and we had fiber and all those kinds of things, that we just kind of went out and put it up ourselves and had the capability to have that and stream it. But I might be wrong about, you know, exactly how they did it. In fact, you might even be able to see it on their website if you wanted, Andrew. But but I could find out for you if you wanted to know. I mean, people like them, they're neat, and I think sometimes when you're trying to learn about a community that you've never been to, you know, along with like, you know, Google Earth and things like that, you can look and see, what's going on. But as you say, particularly if your intent is to, make it more accessible for people who may be older and can't get out, or, concerned about, large groups of people right now, then, finding a position that captures a lot of events might be good. Be careful with streaming and stuff like that, though. Yeah, there's the dog park that we did. That's where the other one is. I couldn't remember. So you can watch the dogs all playing and stuff like that.
And how did you pay for them? Were they sponsored? I could feel like asking Petco to sponsor a camera in the dog park or.
Salem traditionally does not do third-party, sponsorships with people.
Yeah.
They, in fact, the dog park, there's sort of an exception, that is, the Rotary Club doesn't pay for it, but they would typically just kind of go and do things, so, I would imagine that came out of the IT budget. What does it say up in that left-hand corner? You might try, even, Andrew, if you go to the main, just maybe click on the banner and see if it'll take you back to Salem. I don't know what that is exactly. You might just go to salemva.gov, and I feel like there was a link on the main page. Yes, if you go to their website, I think that. Uh-oh. I feel like there were webcams, so they may have changed it since then, but it depends on who you're trying to have it be for,
And I can see placement be a challenge, because I agree, the more hands involved, the harder it gets. If we didn't have to, but I just don't know of a location that the town owns that would cover parades in Main Street, unless it's right here at the beginning, maybe.
well, so like traffic signals or light poles, things like that are good places to mount them. Or sometimes you can, we have one sometimes on buildings, also, I mean, if it's a good one, they can zoom in.
Because it is nice to get that down Center Street view, I think, especially for parades.
You could probably mount on one of the traffic signals out there.
That's kind of scary too to think about it.
See who's watching it, yeah.
Andrew, are they all VDOT or are they?
No, they're town maintained.
Town maintained, so, yeah, so you should be able to move.
In this area of town, we do have some,
They're not,
right, up north Franklin.
Right.
When we get into this, it may be next year, but I know we put a lot of focus on downtown. It'd be nice, I think, if we could consider Cambria for people to watch the trains. People love the trains.
Yeah.
And then Uptown Mall near Marketplace, which I think Walt Rector might be open to, because that'll only help him get more people out there for the things that he'll have going on. And that way we cover all of our town instead of just the down. If that's, later consideration.
We found it helpful too to have one or two that you could move around, and because people will sometimes get tired of looking at the same thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, if you have it mounted and it just looks at, like the dog park, that might be over, but then it could be something else on that. As I recall, we had really high usage of looking at the dog park.
Yeah.
I like dogs.
Oh, yes. I can see kids at the skate park too, and that might scare them to stop vandalizing.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you do sometimes get people who, ask questions about privacy, or, people who want to pull a stunt in front of the camera for their friends to watch, and things like that.
It's almost better when they don't know it's coming.
Right.
And that Wells Fargo sign isn't too bad either.
Or they can leave that sign there, well, I'm sure they wouldn't tear it down. When the museum takes over, I think they put another, nice plate up there.
We could ask about it.
Because wouldn't that be grandfather?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, I'm not sure if it's there right now.
With the
To
sign?
be honest, yeah, I need to go look, but I haven't noticed recently. The sign.
And I drive that, I know
Me
every
neither.
day, but it's one of those things.
You probably see it out the window.
I know that, I'm just trying to think, because someone was in that flower bed painting one of the windowsills the
Yeah.
other day, and I don't remember that sign when I was looking at it.
Thank you, I don't either.
It'd be wonderful if they could get enough money, and I know that, everybody wants that, but to put solar on that roof and just kind of, that'd be nice.
Yeah. The museum certainly would be willing to work, but, and I think, the county or Bob Poff, with the Antiques Building probably would be willing to work with us. I think we do have a fiber connection fairly close to this, so our IT department feels pretty, certain at this point about, we could control the connection and get a decent connection to it. But I guess that light pole could potentially be, so it would certainly be you would miss the square and the Veterans Memorial, but probably, unless you did the 360, and then you're able to change it up, but you would get a good view of the block to Hickok, and
I think we just let IT let us know,
okay,
maybe 2 or 3 options that they recommend, and then we can talk about them.
okay.
What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said before, as far as town-owned properties,
Yeah.
it's kind of like parking, we don't know, town don't own a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't want it where someone could touch it, so it would have to be up pretty high,
Yeah.
which also limits,
Well,
And
that's
also
also that picture.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just looking at the picture.
camouflage it in Bob Pop's clock on one of the poles. Hey, seriously, that's an option? Tell Bob we're gonna repurpose his clock.
Yeah, okay.
Be sure you consider the sun angle too when you mount it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The direction of the sun and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
shadows.
Nothing as easy as it sounds like, I mean, that's things to think about.
Yeah.
But the sun's
Some can calibrate for that, but like earlier when you were looking at the downtown that looks like yours,
Mhm.
you see how dark it was where the buildings and all were.
Yeah, it needs one of those hoods, doesn't it? Like,
You
Maybe.
may need an iris in the camera itself, but yeah, something like that.
And the police department does have a small tower, but it's on the back, and when we were looking at that, we didn't think that we really could capture, Main Street clearly.
you put the banner over Main. Is there an option to make something there more permanent, like right in the middle of the street, looking down?
Put it actually on the post, one of the posts.
But I'm thinking the cord in the middle.
Yeah, that would be difficult, but then it would move quite a bit, yeah. I mean, it's amazing how much wind load.
Yeah, I keep thinking, I just need to stop. Yeah. Okay, we'll
But
let IT
the
come back.
post is something that, I will mention to
Yeah.
the IT director.
But I think the cost, I mean, although it seems expensive, I think it's relatively minor to include the community, in my opinion. Okay.
Very good. And, and they are pursuing a subscription-based approach, but that, but we'll see kind of more what they come up with.
Sure. Yeah. And I trust his opinion.
Sorry, the computer's on.
All right, well, while your computer's sleeping, we can move on to item E.
And these are very quick, unless there's anything else to add. The Town Square project is either really waiting, we don't have a time frame, but the museum and TI are working on getting the final wording for the boards. I think the Community Life Board was one that still needed some work, and then so it'd be an installation of those signs. But I think the brick work of the brick banding came out very nice.
Yeah.
Around the walkway there.
I almost missed a third leg coming out from that center.
Oh, interesting.
When I was at the post office, I thought, I'm just gonna jump over here and take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked and I'm like, you know what, I do remember this. There isn't really a walkway inviting people from the post office to
Yeah.
the other 2 sidewalks.
Yeah,
Not that it's a big deal,
right.
but yeah.
I mean, ideally, we will have an art installation in that one area.
Mhm.
But could there be a third leg probably at some point, yeah.
Yeah. I really hope they do that water element in the middle, but we'll see. Oh, it's costume day?
Yeah, it is, yeah, yeah. The employees are pretty geared up for Halloween.
Nice.
So,
Careful, Wednesday.
so that is, that we're kind of waiting now. And then as far as the Great Little Park on Main Street, I think that group has done a fantastic job, and they last Monday, they did a lot of planning, and I think they're going to take some time off, but I think they're going to have a master gardener come in and start to work on the flower beds.
And she was already there during the planting
Was she?
day.
Okay.
Yeah, she was kind of giving advice and helping out and where things go, and it's going to be quite interesting because as people were planting the bulbs, other people came to help and they didn't know bulbs were there. So it's going to be quite interesting when they all start to come up in the spring, like where they're at and how many there are.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because you can see the trees in the bushes.
Planting by committee, right?
Yeah. But I do have to say, Coldwell Banker stepped up.
Oh, that's great.
They came with, I want to say, at least 15 staff members. It's a company-wide community project situation, and if it wasn't for them, I think the rest of us would have been out there for hours longer.
I think the local realtor group put a challenge out to the different.
Did they?
Yeah, to the different companies this day.
Yeah.
And I think they might have had a little prize, or maybe it's just for pride.
It was great.
Who could have the most volunteers, because they did, the Realtor Association through the national group, was it $5,000, I believe, that they donated
I think it was,
towards,
yeah.
towards the park. So they've definitely, been a big supporter of the park throughout.
It was a huge help. I thought that was such a good showing when you think you're going to be there exhausted for hours, and here comes 15 shirts in blue going up. I'll help.
That's awesome.
Yep. But that's going to be really nice, and there was talk too from some of the people about getting the town to participate. So I did tell everybody on purpose, no, this is a community project, it's meant to be that way. And so they all were like, okay, now we get it. So we keep reiterating it because it keeps coming back up to new people.
And I think they're looking to get some sponsorships for benches as well, which I think will just make that area just, that much more inviting once we get some seating areas in there.
Yeah, the idea is, and it's rocking. I'm really proud of that group. And since they are down there, I think it would be nice for council to acknowledge what DCI has put together and done with so little money during COVID, short staff. They've really pulled it out, and maybe recognize those board members who have put forth their efforts too. We could invite them just to take a picture and say thanks, because sometimes acknowledgement is all you need to get someone to feel thanked.
Would you want to do that in November, December, or see, I could reach out to Justin and Ellie, see what.
I'd love to do it next meeting if we could, yeah. Besides, they've had horrible press too from council, and it'd be nice if they could just shine and show a little bit of positivity. Because they don't feel like they get support from council as much as they did 2 years ago. I'd like to show them that support. Because if you think about it, where else can you put forth $3,000 and have somebody turn it into a really awesome little park? And the rest is fundraising. They've really pulled it out and done a good job.
So you'll want us to put it on the agenda under committee reports as an acknowledgement?
What about under introductions?
Presentations, okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
And maybe even the mayor would consider doing a little thank you. That's up to him, of course. Put a little thank you from the town. Not quite a resolution, I don't know. At least this is something we can see and touch, and the citizens can start to enjoy it.
And it may help with just bringing more attention to it and increased donations, which they're still looking for.
And we can reiterate, or have them reiterate, that the town appreciates them, although we put no money towards it, and make that clear in the speech. This is 100% community.
Sounds good.
Because I do have to say, I don't think that people realize all of what DCI is doing down there. They're working with the,
You don't hear very much.
no, the water runoff there behind Crab Creek. They're working on that, which I thought was great. And the town doesn't have to do anything, they're doing it all on our behalf. So, yeah, I'd like to see them really talk about what they're doing eventually. And poor Justin, he was a little gun shy this year, and I can't blame him.
No, I've talked to him a couple of times, it's just, I didn't go into any great detail, it's just that some of the comments didn't come from all of us,
Oh, yeah, they know that.
you know, but still.
But the bad part about that is when you say it, you can't put it back in the toothpaste, you know? And it hurts the reputation.
Yeah, that's what he said, he's had a hard time, since stuff like it's come out.
Yeah.
When people say, I know we've been before, but and the joking around, but still that hurts.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, anything else to come before this committee? Nay, you finished? Meeting adjourned.
Promise.
We still made it, I mean, you know.